Hello and welcome. I'm Barkha Dutt and you're with The Mojo Story, our independent digital platform that brings you the biggest newsmakers from across the country. On this broadcast today, we'll be talking live to the Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana, Dushyant Chautala. In a week in which Haryana has been in the headlines, the Manohar Lal Khattar government has won the vote of confidence, even as Dushyant Chautala's party comes under enormous pressure from farmers to break his alliance with the BJP. All of this, of course, is also happening as the Haryana government has passed a law which brings in a 75% quota in the private sector for locals only in a salary slab of up to 50,000 rupees. This has received severe pushback from corporate India that says it may need to find another destination if the Haryana government doesn't change some of these provisions. To talk about why Dushyant Chautala is still sticking with the BJP, how to make sense of these new quota laws and the farmers' protests and much, much more. We're joined by the man in the hot seat himself, the Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana. Thank you and welcome. आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी शुरू में ही, I'd like to ask you straight away, why did you decide to vote with the BJP? All of your MLAs, 10 के 10 ने BJP के साथ वोट किया. There was enormous pressure from your constituency, especially the farmers, to break the alliance with the BJP. What made you decide, Dushyant, to stay with the BJP?
Barkha, first of all, I would make it very clear that there was no pressure by any of my MLAs saying that we should break the alliance. Secondly, everybody voted in favor of the government. And if you say there was pressure from the farmers, I agree with that, but who in the farm community is trying to build up that pressure? It simply clarifies it's the people who supported Congress because Congress did not come to power. They have their agenda from day one, trying to pick up issues, trying to destabilize the government. And I think that was the primary agenda of Bhupender Singh Hooda and his team, to bring up this no confidence against the government. And did they get any support? They started off the debate saying that it is a no confidence because the farm laws have come into place. And the first line Mr. Hooda said in the Vidhan Sabha was that I will not speak on those farm laws, because he knew that farm laws was bought in by the Congress. Contractual farming in 2014 was bought into our state by Mr. Hooda. APMC Act was implemented on suggestions of a committee headed by Mr. Hooda, and he agreed to that. On the speech he gave it no confidence, he stood up and said, I got them. And I don't say they are black farm laws. In public, Congress people go out and say that they are black farm laws. But in the House, they disagree with their own statements. And today, the very clear agenda of the people who are not in power is to destabilize the government. And we are sure that we are running a successful government which is strengthening the people of Haryana, which is strengthening the agriculture sector, which is strengthening the employment sector. We are getting new industries into our state. And yes, our agenda is that to develop Haryana in a 5-term period. Today, in the first one fourth of a year, we've had our second budget. And if you go through the budget, despite of increasing the loans at our budgetary heads, we are less than 3% of state borrowings when we are allowed to borrow 8,000 more crore rupees. We have increased the percentile of each and every sector. If I talk about my rural development Panchayat Raj sector, we have given additional 1,580 crore rupees just to uplift the rural sector of our country. We are going to give another 10.3% increase into agriculture sector. Our road infrastructure is going to increase with the boom of about 800 crore rupees additional than last year. This is the vision that we need to take the state forward.
I'll come to the economy in a moment from now, but I want to stick to the farmers. One of your own MLAs, in fact, spoke about how there was anger in the constituency. He even said कि वापस जाते हैं तो helmet और iron armor पहन के जाना पड़ेगा क्योंकि लोग इतने गुस्सा हैं. Dushyant, I've been covering the farmers' protests on the ground, and I met a number of farmers from Haryana who felt that you were letting down your natural constituency. So जब आप कहते हैं ये Congress-sponsored agitation है, are you saying there are no genuine farmers protesting, and do you not support any of the farmers' demands? For example, जो MSP को लेके demand है, that's not guaranteed in the laws. So where do you stand on these 3 farm laws?
Barkha, there are two things when I speak about the farmer agitation. Is one is when it comes to the people who are with the mindset that they support Congress in the state. Those are the people who are agitating. Those are the people who are creating chaos when we go to the constituencies. Yes, one of my MLAs said we cannot attend weddings. That is the truth. But then, how are people in Haryana from Congress allowed to attend weddings when the same thing in Punjab is not allowed? Why only this agenda is caught up in Haryana? Punjab, all political parties are barred. But when it comes to Haryana, it is only the government is not allowed to move around. Punjab, if you ask any Akali Dal person today, BJP person, Congress person, or Aam Aadmi person, they have made it very clear that we will not have any political programs till this farmer agitation is over. But in our state is a targeted agenda where people from the Congress has started, and we don't want to create problems. If a person from the government is going, there has to be law and order maintained there.
What
But
do you
still,
think
we
about
are
the
trying
laws?
to
What
avoid
do you
that
think
chaos.
about the laws? What do you think about the laws?
If I talk about the laws, yes, they need amendment, but they are required as of today to improve the agriculture sector. You cannot scratch them off. Yes, multiple amendments. PM also not said it once, he said it 5 times that yes, we are ready to amend. Then why aren't the people talking? And now I come to the other part of this agitation. Are the 40 leaders leading the agitation? Barkha, this is day after 26th January. If I talk about today, this is day 44. Where are these people? Why aren't they talking to the government? Why are they not coming out to public and saying that we are ready to talk? They are moving around the country on political stages giving speeches. I just saw somebody saying that now we'll go to 5 election bound states and go do programs there. Is this become a political agenda or it is the agitation for scrapping of the laws? Now it has to come out from you people also who are moving around. I've seen you moving around to each and every dharna stall. I've been seeing you that you've been covering people. Yes, but the people you were covering, do they even know what does the contractual farming law mean? What does the Essential Commodity Acts Amendment
What is
mean?
the amendment?
Do
What is the amendment? What is the amendment the laws need according to you?
if I talk about the APMC Act, there has to be taxation in open market also as well as the market run by the government. Yes, we in the state still have that at 1%. But when it comes to a central act, we have given suggestions to that. MSP today in Haryana, can you imagine in last year, the two Kharif and Rabi crops we purchased, it is 30,000 crore Haryana is procuring. If I talk about Punjab,
Yeah.
it is
We'll just
not a
wait.
small amount these two states are procuring. We
Yeah,
need to
carry
look
on.
into that. We need to secure our rights that, yes, the crops which are regularly procured in Haryana and Punjab needs to be procured on a regular basis. And the Prime Minister has agreed on to it in the
But the key
25
demand,
point paper sent
but
to
the
the
key
farmer
demand is on
agitators.
MSP. The key demand is on MSP and a certain amount of guaranteed writing of the MSP into the law, something which even the Swadeshi Jagran Manch, the RSS affiliate, has supported. Would you, as someone whom the farmer sees their own leader, tell the Prime Minister and tell the central government that you need a guarantee of the MSP written into the law?
Barkha, on record on your channel Mojo, I say that 1st of April we are starting procurement in our state. It is not only wheat which we procure for a Food Corporation of India for the PDS system. We are going to procure 5 additional crops. That is, one is mustard, second is gram, third is sunflower, fourth is pulse, and for the first time in Indian history, where we are going to procure barley at MSP.
Okay.
Agriculture is a state subject. If the states are willing to provide infrastructure, provide the procurement of crops at MSP, I don't think so it's going to be a problem for the central government. Center needs those products. Last time I met Simriti Rani, we were procuring 20 lakh quintals and I said that give us the right to procure 1 crore quintal of cotton and she gave us. We did 72 lakh quintals of cotton procurement in our state. The prices went high, and then suddenly nobody came to the market. You have to give the infrastructure, and when the infrastructure is given, the prices of the crops, of the staples will increase, and that is more beneficial to the farmer. Writing MSP, and if MSP is written as a law and tomorrow the central government fixes that we won't procure more than 4 lakh or 5 lakh metric ton of wheat, and then everybody comes in and says that UP's population, UP needs its share. Maharashtra's population, Maharashtra needs its share. Madhya Pradesh will say we are 5% of the country's population, we'll take 5%. We'll take less than 2%. We are procuring more than 35% of national wheat, and we will be cut down after a quota is fixed to only less than 2%.
Okay,
I think so. If for a farmer from Haryana and Punjab to ask for a MSP at a national level, yes, you should put pressure on your states. Haryana, we agree that we are going to give you MSP at 6 crops. Why doesn't Punjab come out and say that? Where is Captain Amrinder Singh today? Where is Mr. Gehlot today, who is doing this Kisan rally, and why isn't he procuring the grams, the pulses, the barley at MSP? This is both Congress-run states, but nobody is coming out against them. Nobody is asking them today.
So you are saying for the farmers of Haryana, you are guaranteeing both MSP and procurement from the 1st of April. Did you have any nervous moments during that vote of confidence that your MLAs would break, that because of the anger on the ground, your MLAs would turn against you?
Not even for a second, Barkha. And I'll tell you, after I'm done with this interview, I still have to sit into a briefing for 2 hours for the procurement season only. So I'm hands-on to it.
Okay. So you're not politically worried about the farmers' protests? Before I move on to other issues, you're not politically worried for yourself and for the JJ?
I still remember what Chaudhary Devilal always said, that किसान को बहकाना आसान है, समझाना मुश्किल है. And that is what is happening today. But yes, from the first when the procurement starts, and I assure you, and I have said it day before in the floor of the house also, that once the farmer gets his crop in the mandi, once the J forum has been cut, J forum is when a farmer's crop is procured by the Aarti. As soon as the J forum is cut, within 48 hours, we are the only state in the country to ensure within 48 hours, 100% payment of the farmer will be directly benefited to his account, DBT to his account, within 48 hours of his J forum.
Okay. Okay, let's move to another issue, which is about the new quota laws. Now, 75% in the private sector, a locals first policy. Haryana is not the first state to do it. Other states have attempted it, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, but they've always been challenged in court. Many people would say that you are just going through the motions of this to show the people with rising unemployment that you're doing something for locals, but the courts will strike down this law. And, just for people who don't know, it's a 75% domicile reservation for private sector jobs. But of course, one should clarify that there is a salary slab here, and the salary slab is being capped at 50,000 rupees. And from my understanding, it isn't for existing jobs, but for any new jobs that in fact take place. Dushyant, talk a little bit about this. Why do you think this will pass the legal test?
Barkha, first of all, some people has misled that it is unconstitutional. It is not unconstitutional. Our Article 16 clearly defines the constitutionality for the jobs at the state. Those are for the public government sector jobs, not the private sector jobs. And the new law which we have implemented is only valid for jobs which are created after its implementation. Still, the rules have to be formed. So if it's done in March end or first week of April, after it will be notified. Any job created after that, it will be regularized onto it. It is not going to take away anybody's job. And 50,000 cap was also put in after multiple rounds of discussion with different chambers, different associations. We've written letters to each and every MLAs, MPs to give their inputs. I got 3 MLAs to write their inputs onto this law to me. I have spoken to FICCI, I have spoken to ASSOCHAM, I have spoken to PhD, each and every chamber that exists. Yes, if somebody has their reservations or their observations, we are ready to discuss. But
You have
saying it,
indicated
saying
that you're ready to change the laws or make
no,
changes to this law.
I'll be very clear that we are not going to change the law. We are
You're
going to
not
have
going to.
health, not going to change the law. Yes, there can be amendments to it as far as where industry demand is regulated. For example, if I talk to you today that if we see an IT specialist, which we don't have many institute of information technology in our state, we might get people from Maharashtra coming in. Yes, we have to give them exemptions. If I go to smaller jobs which are paid 12,000, 15,000, like somebody working in a bricklane, we don't have specialized labor for that. Majority of people coming into brick current people from eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. Yes, we need to give them exemption. But tell me something. If somebody at a security guard job in Gurgaon is required, and if he is from the district of Gurgaon, you will save on his housing, you will save on his travel, you will save on the different expenditure that you do for a person who is not locally resident. Yes, industry is also ready for that. And I still remember when I spoke this issue to people at in that video conference with Mr. Bhargav of Maruti or Mr. Nanda of Escorts or Mr. Reddy of I think Flipkart. Everybody said that it is going to benefit the industry in a whole, where you get skilled people, better qualified people of local employment. So we have to save money on other aspects which we don't even count as their salary.
What amendment are you ready for? Because you say you've spoken to chambers, but if you look at some of the responses that have come from both CII and FICCI, they're extremely alarmed about this, and they in fact seem to suggest that their hands are being tied. So I just want to ask you, what amendments are you ready for? Because
Barkha,
let me
I just received a letter from one chamber today. We are going to sit
okay,
with them on a video conference on 16th. I
okay.
received a call from chairman of DLF, Shri Rajiv Singh, yesterday. He wants to get all the people from the real estate industry and sit in a conference after the 18th when the budget is over. Yes, we are going to sit with them. Let's see if there is a specific engineer that is required or a specific skill set that is required when it comes to buildings. We'll input their suggestions into the rules which are framed later. See, Maruti gave us a written suggestion day before saying that our technical engineers start at a salary of 38,000 rupees, but in 2 years they cross the 50,000 bar. If you can plan on to that we can have it at a pay scale where 2 years or 3 years or equivalent to a pay scale of a group C technical employee, then it will be beneficial for both government and industry to involve better people, qualified people. That is suggestions which are pouring in now, and we are working on it. Don't worry, we are going to frame the rules which will be healthy for the state, for
What
the
what
industry.
what will you do if the courts strike down the law or put it on hold? What will you do then? Because CMIE says that the employment rate is a little over 26. Unemployment rate, I beg your pardon, is a little over 26% in Haryana. Another study says that 8 out of every 10 jobs in the bracket that you're talking about are already represented by locals. So please address both of these points and what you'll do if the court strikes down these new quota laws.
So, Barkha, if one study says 8 out of 10 people are locally employed who are locals in all these brackets, then I don't think so industry needs to worry. Do you think
Okay.
if it is reported, then why is industry worrying about it? Then it is a chaos that has been created. That people are trying to do and take an agenda or take a dig at the government. If we made it in a
The
form of a
industry is
law,
worried
that
because
will
it's
be.
going to be a new form of Inspector Raj. The industry is worried that
I
it is going to
I
be a new
I
form of
will
license Raj and Inspector Raj.
I will send you a copy of the law. Go
Yeah,
through it. We
yeah.
are not permitting any inspector to walk into an industry. It is going to be 100% online portal where industry on a monthly basis need to put their list of employees, new and old, with their Haryana employment exchange number, and that coordination is going to be updated and reviewed by the government.
And if the court
We are
strikes it
not
down,
permitting.
what if the court strikes it down?
I rest assure you that we have not made a law what Andhra made it, which is still under jurisdiction preview. We have not got a stay by the High Court onto this, and definitely we will get the best team of lawyers and we will debate onto this into the High Court that today after GST, where it's a consumption-based economy, it is going to be a huge revenue loss for the state if we don't get this law into place.
Okay, final set of questions. Can you describe to us why the chief minister of the state was almost in tears in the assembly? This moment was very, we all saw it, and he broke down in tears. What was this moment about?
I was not in the house there, but I saw the video later, and I think he got emotional when he saw five Congress MLA legislators who were women pushing a tractor on a Women Day. And when Mr. Hooda, Mr. Kadyan, or Mr. Malik were sitting on top of the tractor, and I think that was an emotional issue for him.
How would you describe your relationship with the BJP today? And suggestions that the way this deal works is that the government must support your locals first quota law, in exchange for which you won't make more of a noise on the farmers' protests. How do you respond to this?
I totally disagree with that, Barkha. We are a government running successfully for one fourth of a year now. If you have seen reports what is happening in Maharashtra or any other state where there are multiple alliance government running, I think the most successful government, despite of COVID coming and this farmer agitation, one full year getting wiped out onto political activities, we have succeeded by increasing our revenue. We are the only state who has come at par with last year's budget. Rest all state had to borrow. And yes, our clear agenda is that to uplift the state and to uplift Haryanvis, and we are working on to it.
And you see this alliance lasting its full course?
Don't worry about that. 4 more years to go.
One last question before I let you go. You're a young leader. You're a very powerful deputy chief minister. You have 10 MLAs, but more portfolios than that. Do you, as a young leader, agree that Haryana should be spending any energy on a Love Jihad law? We know Haryana set up a committee to talk about a Love Jihad law. How do you look at this?
See, I don't support the terminology where it comes to a religion or to a language where you say love, jihad, pyar, or anything else. Yes, if there is forceful conversion, we will definitely support that law. And I made it very clear on day one also that yes, forceful conversion is not permitted as far as our constitution also says. If somebody is forcefully converted, it's illegal. And yes, getting a law into place will always help people who are doing such activities. But yes, there'll be misutilizations of these laws also, as we've seen in Uttar Pradesh or some other states which implemented it. We have worked, we have amended some points which those states did not. From the time we have learned that yes, there are misfunctioning, but whenever a new law comes into place, Barkha, you have to understand there might be some results which are negative, but it becomes positive at a later age. As the dowry law came in the 90s, and you should remember that time, I think you were also working at a very young age, that every woman walked up to a police station and said, I was asked for dowry. And their whole family was put behind bars. And then suddenly Samjhauta was done. Then came the law of SC/ST Act in 2000s. And suddenly everybody, then the Supreme Court had to intervene and say, no, you need two more witnesses. And then those amendments came in. If there will be something in this forceful conversion, our state will be more than happy to do those amendments.
But it's not targeted against one religion. It's not targeted against the Muslims of Haryana. You're saying that.
No way, Barkha. If somebody forces me to become a Jain tomorrow, or to become a Christian, or to become a Muslim, if I give a 10 rupee affidavit, then yes, I can convert. If forcefully it's done, I think there needs to be a law and order.
Okay, very quickly, I promise you the last question. Will you reach out to the farmers again? You've said there are two kinds of protests. One who are being sponsored according to you by the Congress, but there are also genuine angry farmers जिनके बारे में आपने कहा कि शायद उनको mislead किया गया है. Will you reach out to them? Will you want to talk to them? Will you make
through you, I would say to those 40 leaders also कि चर्चा करो, चर्चा से समाधान निकालो, किसानी बचेगी. सब लोग जो धरने पर बैठे हैं वो आपके भरोसे पर बैठे हैं. एंड इफ वी कीप अ स्टर लाइक दिस, नुकसान उसका इन 40 लोगों को या उनको धरने पे बैठे लोगों को नहीं होगा. मुझे लगता है उसका नुकसान अगर होगा लॉन्ग टर्म के अंदर तो नुकसान किसानी को होगा. और आई थिंक चर्चा के बिना समाधान नहीं निकलता. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर अबाउट 4 months ago I spoke to a veteran Punjab senior politician and I asked him, मैं कहा की होगा जी धरने दा. एंड ही काका जी धरना शुरू करना बहुत आसान है, खत्म करना बहुत मुश्किल. And I see it today when 40 people are leading this agitation. It is very tough to come to a conclusive statement. And I think these people need to sit again, need to decide and finalize, go for talks with the government, get your demands approved. Whatever you are getting, it is going to benefit the farming community.
All right, Dushyant Chautala, Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana, in a week when you have just won with the Manohar Lal Khattar government the vote of confidence. Thank you so much for speaking to Mojo, and it's a pleasure having you on the program. It's good to see young politicians coming out and take all questions and not flinch at any of those questions. We hope to see more of that happening in our democracy. Thank you, Dushyant, and take care. Thank you so much. And
thank you, Barkha.
Thank you very much. And to our audience, we'll be back soon with another big show on the big story of the day. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.